Welcome to Off-Duty Engineer. I am Alan. This channel is for some of my scale modeling projects, plastic aircraft, wooden ships, and dioramas to display them. This is the detailed build of the scale model of the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk 60-inch wingspan or 1/7 scale. This is the detailed build, part 2 of 4. First, the photos of the final result. This model is 1/7 scale with a wingspan of 60 inches or 5 foot or 1.5 meters. This P-40 is a top flight model made in the USA circa 1975. The kit was intended for full radio control standoff competition. I decided to build it for display only, but with full radio control and electric motor for the propeller. The kit was manufactured in about 1975, so the wood is very brittle and the vinyl decals very old. I decided to build it for show and not for flying. I wanted to add all the radio control servos in with a small electric motor for the prop, for effect. I wanted to show as much of the original wood as possible, so the camo green is on part on the outside, but the rest is wood to view. I received this model kit from my late cousin Aubrey in July 2025. It was unbuilt and most of the parts were in the box. A few other parts were later found. A lot of the parts were needed to be sourced. This P-40 kit build is in 5 parts. Each part is about 1 hour. This first video is the final model with the build in photo essay format. Then the other 4 videos are the detailed build. Well, I've cleaned up my desk, all neat and tidy again. Got the box out, objective, the airplane here, which is the objective, show you there, it's stuck up on the wall over there. The framing for the wing is done, the wings, the rear surfaces are all done and ready. And then Mr. Amazon arrived and he delivered a whole lot of stuff. The radio control gear is the FlySky transmitter, FlySky receiver over here, 6-channel. The battery, so see how it fits in. That's a different battery to the kit. See how it works. There are a whole lot of servos in here, miniature servos. Don't need much to put this on display. So I'll try those. I have a micro motor with a gear down to 100 RPM. There. Tiny. I'm going to see if I can get that to drive the propeller. Probably in a parallel shaft with some elastic bands or O-ring or something driving from the one to the other. It's driven by, it's a brushed motor, a brushed ESC, electronic speed controller that fits into a servo. This will be channel 1, channel 3. So I'll see if that works. I haven't tried any of this yet. It's all from different suppliers, so might be compatibility issues. This is also for the receiver. Instead of a servo, it is a switch. And I can use this to switch on some lights in the cabin and maybe some nav lights. I'll see how that goes. So, spare cables and a few things. So I'm going to power this lot up today and just get a handle on it, how it works and how to program it over here, all the parameters. Then what also arrived is these hinges. They came from the States. Dubro small nylon hinges with a hinge pin. I'm going to use those. 3 over there, 3 there, 3 there, and on the flaps and so forth. So I'm going to use these to get all the control surfaces working. So, lots to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is power up all the electronic gear slowly, sequentially, one at a time, and just see how it all works, especially this battery. I'm not quite sure how that works. with this kit. I mean, yeah, so let's get to the next exciting part. After that, I'll do the fuselage. Okay, next sequence, the fuselage. I've taken the one-to-one drawing of the fuselage, put it there. I've taken out the balsa and ply CNC punched parts, and the next step will be to cut all these out. I've identified them on the plan, and yeah, let's start getting this together so that I can start seeing how the wings fit in over here, where the apertures are for access for the servos and things. So yeah, I'd like to get to that part first, get this fuselage done, clip them together, put the tail pieces on, and actually see how the access works for the servo gear. Okay, so I've laid the plan out, and I have cut all the ply and balsa fittings pieces out, lay them here where they roughly should be. There's F3 and F3A over there. There's F4 and F4A over there. F4 and F4A over there. There's F7 in between. It's F8, F5, F10 is over there, F6 over there, F11 and so forth all the way down. F24, these fillings on the side next to the canopy. F18 is down here, works together with the white piece that I've got there, the lateral stiffener. F25 are the fix-ups for the cowl to reach the holder cowl. F21, these fillers. F19 is the bottom over there. F16 is the top spine there, and these are for later to fill in the wings. I'll put these aside for the moment. Right, now just to find some stringers to start putting it together carefully. Well, progress so far. I have these two bulkheads in with the hardwood for the engine mounts section there and the gap fillers. Then I got to trying to line up all these other bulkheads, and I couldn't get them straight and all the rest. Always a couple of millimeters out here and a couple of millimeters out there. So I shoved a straight edge onto the wood that was given. This was given. It's missing a couple of millimeters there. Over here it's on the line, and over there it's down below the line. So the top one's completely bowed. Then I checked the other one. That's bowed the other way. There's a gap over here. So I'm going to have to sort that out first. I'm going to add a little filler sliver on that side and a sliver on this side to bring it up to where it should be, to the line. Then check this one, check that one against this one, and do what's necessary over here. But otherwise, quite exciting, progressing. Well, after a bit of to and froing on these two sides, clamping them together, I got the first side right according to the drawing, and I clamped them together and got the other side right. You can see I've added onto the one about 1.5 millimeters, 1 millimeter down to nothing over there. Same side on the side, I added in on that side about 2 millimeters to nothing over there. It's quite a big error over there. On this side, I've added in about 0.5 millimeter all the way from there to there. From nothing to 0.5 millimeter to nothing. Now they are identical, and the lines are straight, and they match the plan. So all good. Next is to start building the bulkheads onto the one side. Well, another quick update. Fuselage looking good so far. I have the bulkheads F3, F4, the two mounting motor mounts up in the front there. the two sides. I've glued the set together, then I glued that to the one side, and this morning I've glued it to the other side, checking that it's all square down, it's upside down so I can keep it square, and make sure that all the other items are square. Bolted it on, clamped it all together, and yeah, good. Could leave this for a few minutes to dry. Lots of clamps. And yeah, then we can start fitting these bulkheads. I'll flip it around and start fitting the bulkheads in. So I've got the first of the bulkheads in, F3A, F7, F4A, F6, and F7. They are in. Sorry, it must be F8. They're in. I've got this thing up square, level, with spacer bars with blocks underneath. I measured the distances on the plan to the beginning of each one of these bulkheads. Transferred it to here on this side. I checked it with a square. They're okay. Then set the bulkheads with the stringer. Checked that they're vertical. And glued them in place. I couldn't glue them and then put them in place. I had to get it all set and square, and then I could just put the glue in afterwards. So I could shove the glue in with a little stick into all the corners, and I think that's busy setting nicely. Okay, so the rest of the rear bulkheads are in. The only one that's missing is F10, which is one that goes at an angle behind the canopy. I might have to wait for the canopy to arrive later this week before I finalize that layout. So these are in, clamped. This is where the fuselage takes a narrowing. I'm going to clamp it at the back here, and I've glued it, but I'm not going to remove those clamps in a hurry. If I undo them and they pop open, it might just pop all the slot open. So I'll just leave these in like that until I've secured that a little bit better. There are some strengthening pieces coming up. Just a quick update. I've taken all the clamps off. It's glued. All the clamps off except the back two, which I'll leave on. Those two, which I'll leave on for a bit. There you can see I've done this front spar as well. There we are. Hi there, quick catch up. Been working on the tailplane a little bit. I had to redo this front edge a little bit to bring it in so that I could get the front there to fit properly. I also, and it was deliberate, so I made it a little bit bigger than I thought. I'll fine-tune it later. Same with the tail fin. I had to bring the tail fin down about 4 millimeters. I had to bring it forward about 2 millimeters. Cut this notch in the back. So now it's all set up and ready. The elevators, I've cut that notch in. So I said they're ready there for the hinges now. That works up and down. And tailplane, also the rudder, now goes all the way down to the bottom, to below the bottom there, which it didn't before. I had to lower it 4 millimeters. And it can turn. The only thing is I'll have to take a little bit of a niche out of there for this to come through, about 2 millimeters. So fine. But to get this to stand so nicely over here, I actually invented a new system. I knocked a whole lot of pins, these little 2.5 millimeter bamboo pins, shafts that I had, and I'll take it apart to give you a show. So you can lift this up carefully, take that out. There's a pin there, there's a pin in the front there, so it locates that one. And then I've got 2 pins going through the bottom here like that to locate this. So it's not there for strength, it's just there to assist with the location while I'm putting it on and off to get it into the same place every time. and before I glue it. So I'll have to hinge it and then glue the whole tailplane together. So yeah, quite exciting. I have the hinges. I said they're very small, like that, and the small double hinges. I have ordered from Amazon a router tip of 1mm, and I'm going to set this up in a drill press on a guide, something like that, with a drill there so that I can drill them in. I've marked out where the hinges have got to be. There's the center lines. But I've got about 48 hinge holes to make, so I figured I better get it done properly and not hack it. Make it real simple, and yeah, let's see how that goes. So all in good so far. These are some of the test slots that I've drilled in the past, just to test them out. You'll see that it works quite well. Now, took a bit of trial and errors to get it right. Now I have the tailplane over here, and I have marked out the 3 hinges. It's over there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 12 holes to make. So let's try the first one in proper wood this time. A flat surface over here, because the surface is slightly curved. Yeah, first hiccup is need to lift this edge a little bit, or let me just do one of these then first. Hi, well, here's the next update. So I planned the hinges. I got some 1mm routing tips for the Dremel. I actually put it in the bench press in the garage, and I should use this 1mm drill bit in the Dremel in a stand. I have a video of that showing how that started to drill for the hinges. So mark out the hinges in the square, get them nicely done. Then I routed the 1mm in the drill stand down by 7mm, because this tip is only 7mm deep, this one. So I went down 7mm, same on this side. And then I used the Dremel with the 1mm bit to go dig it all the way down to about 12mm deep. It needs to go 14mm deep. So it's 11mm wide and 13mm deep. Clean it up a bit and flip them in. There we go. Working. Okay. So here are the other 6, 3 plus 3 that I have done over here. I've fitted them in already. You can see I just need to sink the hinge pins a little bit deeper into the movable side. Get them up tight. Then take a little niche out of there. Make space for this rudder section here. That fits in over there. And bingo, we're in. So to fasten the hinges in, I'm not sure if I'm going to use super glue, because it's just too fast and all the rest of it. And you have to line up, especially these 6, you have to line them all up simultaneously. I might go with this 5-minute epoxy. Push it into the holes quite deep, and then you've got a few minutes to seat them in. The glue just might be too fast. So with the 2 Dremels, this is my hand one, and I've got the electric one in the press, which is the one I used in the garage. Okay, quite a big step forward. Okay, quick update. I wanted to put some lights in here, so I've actually put a yellow LED in there. I've made a thin slot all the way down with the Dremel tool along the bottom of this tail fin, and here the wires come out like I'm through a hole in that bulkhead, and I've wired it up, and here we are. There it comes on and off. You can see it over there. It's on, off, on, off. Okay, I've used the thinnest of wires, which I actually took out of an old computer monitor cable. I've stripped that down, took the wires out. So there'll be one lead here. There'll be one in each of the wings. The nav lights of green and red. And I'll put 1 or 2 white leads here inside the cockpit. We'll see how that goes against that bulkhead. Okay, the canopy's been dispatched and the cowl, so I'm hoping to get that sort of in the next day or 2 or 3. Then I can start finishing off the center section. I haven't glued these hinges in yet. That's one of the next parts to do. I haven't glued all this down onto this body yet. Also want to wait a little bit for that. Simply because if it's on here, it's going to be a bit awkward to do the woodwork and things. But basically, we can start getting all the RC gear for this in, and I can start working on the wings again. Time for a quick update. Well, done a bit of work since last time. I've made this little bracket over here to for the tail wheel, and I've put it through this little bracket over there. It's a 2.5mm brass rod, which I bent. I put the lock nut on there and I soldered it in. A little circlip on the outside. So I drilled a 0.8mm hole through the brass rod over there. And it goes through into the rudder section. So if you turn the rudder, the tail wheel turns. So I've got chuffed with that. That back a step or two, I've put the horizontal tail pieces on. They all work. I've put the vertical tail pieces on. And they're all working with the hinges. This base piece that was supplied was not the right size. It was too narrow. So I actually remade it with 5mm board, not 6mm. And then to get access to this again, because once you've skinned everything, you can't get into anywhere. I've made the rear part of this fixed, and then I put some wood in there and I doweled it, screwed it over here. So if you undo the screws, here are the screws, with the Phillips screwdriver, you can undo that, slide it out in the dowel. Remember, the wing will be here, so you can lift this up, slide it out, play with it a bit because the dowels are still pretty tight. 2.5mm bamboo kitchen skewers, so I've used there, and now you can get access into here. And you can see what I've done. I've put the drive to the stabilizers in and put the servos in, the 2 bars to hold the 2 servos down over here. I haven't fastened them in yet, but they're there. And the control works. I've connected it to the radio control, plugged it all in, and it does drive it. So, little small servos, but they're adequate for this. I wouldn't fly with them, but it's certainly okay for this. Go to this final position these, screw them in, and this is the servo now, which I'm going to put in for the rudder. So I'm going to put that in next, right now. My next plan. Hi, just a brief catch up. I have the 2 servos in, the links in down to the back, one to the rudder and one to the elevators. So I've connected up the receiver temporarily to the 2 servos, and there they run. There's one, and there's the other. Don't worry about which channel they're on. It's operating the servo to check. Yeah, so these little servos, I wouldn't fly with them, but they're suitable for this display model. So a good update today would be that I've ordered the canopy and the white goods, the white plastic parts from a local supplier, in Queensland, Australia, for this specific red box edition of the F40, which is a different size to the standard. And he had all the parts. So they arrived today, and here they are. So here on the right are the current parts, all yellow and things like that. It's the nose of this scoop underneath. That's a strengthening piece under the motor. Exhausts. That's the bottom of the cowl. And the front of the cowl. Top of the cowl, of course, is wood. That's the intake along the nose for the air intake. And the old canopy, which I did find, actually. This was missing. So there it is, all yellowed and everything else, but still okay. I would say I found it. It was found. And here on the left is the new parts. All of them. So the plastic is much thinner than the existing plastic, but this is very brittle. You can see here the plastic is very brittle. So I've got to decide whether I'm going to use the old parts, but okay, they're so thin they're actually breaking up a little bit. So I'm a little bit doubtful of some of these new pieces. But definitely the canopy, which is in crystal clear, looks good. That will definitely be the first part that I'll want to fit. Can't see the plane at the back there, it's just behind. Time for a quick catch-up. Well, done a little bit since last time. I've cut a piece of wood here separately for the dashboard. I've cut out the dashboard decal, which will go on there. The cockpit decal will go on there later. I also added this floor at the bottom, so I'm just on temporarily now. But, that's basically going to be the divider. And then I started with these sheeting the top. The whole top closed, because here I can work on the motor on the outside. So for this I measured out the side of the wood. Before I did that, I just thickened this top piece a little bit from 5mm in the front down to 0 about here somewhere, just to lift it up because of the curve of the canopy. You see, this was flat over there, but with the curve of the canopy I wanted to accommodate it a little bit better. So I then made it rounder. Well, I gave it more meat to make it rounder. So then I measured the wood required. Cut this as 1/16 or 1.5mm. I cut it out of a big sheet, 2 parts, and then I've now cut the one in, glue it along the bottom, which I'm going to do with this one as well. Glue it in at the bottom edge, then let it dry. Then come, because it's impossible to handle it in 3 dimensions like this, then pull it in with glue and close it up. So that's what I'm doing. I use clamps from all angles, everywhere, big clamps, small clamps. This one makes the throat just to get to the bottom there. I'm actually using a piece of balsa wood across this join here to push it flat all the way along, so otherwise it tends to buckle out. Pins don't work. So I put this over there, put a bit of baking sheet behind it first, stop the glue sticking to this balsa. This balsa has got a nice bend flex to it, sufficient flex, and it just flexes. You see there, just push it in, clamp it in, and it clamps it nice and tight. To get the bottom seam done. Then when I do the top, I use a different piece of wood. This is pine that I've got. It's pretty straight, very strong, much stronger than the balsa, of course. I put that at an angle like this. Use that to clamp this top edge shut all the way along there. That worked quite well, and I'm going to attempt it for this side again. Same method, except that I can't use this edge here to clamp like I did on that side. I have to work on a different way to clamp this top edge down. I'm not quite sure how yet, but I'll work it out as I go. Got plenty of these little clamps, and we'll work it out as we go. So I'll just show you from the side what it looks like. There we go, that's better. You can see into it, that wire that you see there, that's just a piece of sheathing to bring the tail, the rudder light LED from the top down into where the workings are going to be down at the bottom here. Okay, catch up now. I finished this part. I faced it onto this F10 bulkhead. You can see it's all faced off nicely. Put in a little bit of a gap filler in there to bring it up. Fold it with wood, and then thick CA with some wood chips. That's done. And lastly, what I have done is I've made these two little parts to fit over there and there. Tail blocks. There's a bit of 3D carving. If you can see, this is like really three-dimensional curves over here, because this has got a curve on it, and then of course it's curved around the outside as well. It has to fit in. So I'll put those in, glue them in. Just got to fine-tune the sanding, just the interface between the two. Yeah, and then that part's done. Everything from here backwards is complete. So, very pleased with the day's work. The next part 3 of this build is to complete the wings.